going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube, and also rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Bears fans, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, anything that you celebrate, even if you don't celebrate a holiday now. I hope you enjoy the time off. All right, I know that we have global listeners as well. Maybe you don't get time off where you live, but here in the States, for the most part, most of us have off. So hope y'all are doing well. I see Drax out there right now too. Bears passing through the 7 levels of the candy cane forest. I love it. I love the elf reference. One of the best Christmas movies out there. I might even say the best out there. It's personally one of my favorites. I was actually talking with my family on Christmas, and we're like talking about our favorite Christmas movies, and Elf is definitely up there in like some of the top tiers. It's an S tier Christmas movie in my opinion. Funny and it's good. It's just such a good Christmas movie. But we got Joe out there, we got Taco Man, bear down to y'all, and yeah, happy holidays for everyone. Got Philip too. What is good? But yeah, Elf, elite. So speaking of elite, we got to talk a little bit about, before we get into the 49ers, we'll preview the Bears 49ers game, and we'll go into that. Got some analytics that I want to kind of cover with that, talk about that a little bit. But we need to talk about something, because Max Crosby, this has been like every time anything happens with Max Crosby, Bears, we're like the first group of fans, I feel like, that jump on this because we're crazy. So we'll instantly start talking about Max Crosby, and I want to just chat about this because, yeah, I could do a separate episode, but I like doing 2 episodes. I think it's consistent. So I have a question out there for y'all. Would you trade for Max Crosby? And I did a little bit of research and just kind of what the estimate would be out there, and most of y'all are saying yes, you'd trade. But I want to talk about this real quick. So first off, as we always do, whenever there is a rumor or a discussion, I always like to talk about it because is it an actual rumor, or what's the legs that it stands on? And also, does it even impact the Bears? Does it relate to the Bears? Because a lot of times when something happens, we instantly just jump on it, right? So let's talk about this. First off, let's get into why this, yet again, we'll talk about the 49ers a little bit later, but it all started when Jay Glazer reported that Max Crosby, that they were going to shut down Max Crosby, and that Crosby was not happy about this. He vehemently disagreed because they were saying, hey, we're going to sit you out for the remainder of the season. And then he had an interview and he was just voicing his displeasure with this happening. So this is really where the items come in. Crosby's been frustrated with the Raiders organization, and that's a big piece right here. So as soon as this happens, of course, there's the mine meme that comes up, but it's just Bears, right? So this is where a lot of us Bears fans are like, okay, well, Crosby. Also, I will say there is something to the fact that when a player has their best game against someone, like if you ever look at this, usually in free agency or someone trades for it, usually it's a team that had their best game against them. And that, now, just because of that logic, I'm not saying the Bears are going to go get them, but I'm just saying that it is something that happens because they realize how good of a player they are. And they're like, listen, Max Crosby wrecked us when he was going against us. And we had to at the second half, we had to trip him 3 times in order to just stop him. So better believe that the Bears are saying, if he's available, go get him. And especially since we have an issue at the defensive line spot. Now, the other thing that I don't think enough people are talking about with this, and I want to bring up this from Spot Rack. This is, to me, the biggest key because usually I am the wet towel on a lot of these trades or these hypothetical trades because of the cap. Because a lot of times people sign a new contract and it's just going to destroy their current team's contract situation. But if you're talking about Max Crosby, if Max Crosby gets traded before March 13th, so after March 13th, it's basically $29 million for his 2027 salary then becomes guaranteed. So then basically there's going to be more guarantees then tied to that after that date. So if they are looking to trade him, it would have to be before that March 13th kind of deadline, if you will. So that is a big note to at least throw out there with the whole Max Crosby piece. But if you trade for Max Crosby next year, so let's say hypothetically the Bears get him, his salary cap would be $30 million, then $29 million, then $27 million, then $28 million, which for an upper echelon star pass rusher, that ain't bad. When they're all making $45 million now, $50 million, that is really not bad from a deal perspective. And then the Raiders, from their dead cap perspective, they're only then paying him $5.1 million, and then they're saving $30.7 million. So this is where it can be a win-win on both sides, yet again with that main March 13th designation being the key piece. Now, this being said, I just went through a couple different trades and just kind of saw some previous trades from the past. Now, Max Crosby will be 29 next season. And this is weird because we've really not seen a good comp for a 29-year-old pass rusher getting traded. So this is a lot of hypotheticals we have to throw out there, because if you also look at how he's been throughout the years too, and here I'll try to maximize my screen. If you look at how he's been in the last years, technically, if you're a huge fan of PFF, his elite seasons were 21 to 23. Then he gets a little banged up. And then in 24, 25, he's been getting more grades in the 70s and upper echelon for the defensive grades in 2025. Now, this is where I say these are still just PFF grades. And the big thing is that he is a difference maker. He is someone that makes a difference on it. I do not believe that he is a 79.7 grade. Even though that's still like very good, I think it's like top 15 in the league. All that you need to know is that he's a difference maker on defense, and he's been playing with nobody this entire time. Do I think he's Myles Garrett? No. Do I think that he's Micah? I think Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons are the two top dogs. And I think Max Crosby is like right below them. Like they are in their own little tier. He's right below them, right? He's elf, right? He's in the elf tier. He's in that S tier, but not in the double S tier. But this is the other piece, is that I think that if this were to happen, I think he's great. But yet again, if we're looking at other comps, you have Von Miller when he was 32 years old going for a second and a third. Khalil Mack when he was 31 getting traded for a second, which looks worse and worse every day. Chandler Jones, who was 26, going for a second, and Jonathan Cooper, who was really great. But then when you talk about the elites, like when Khalil Mack got traded, and other pieces like that, you're typically talking about a first and a second. So to me, I think that, yet again, we have not seen a trade like this. It depends on how the GM and Tom Brady deal with this whole situation. But it might be a first. My guess is that if there were to be a trade, it'd be a first, like reasonably speaking, a first and a second rounder next year, and a first rounder this year. And so I just threw this in there just because Raiders fans really want DJ Moore. And DJ Moore is having a resurgence towards the end of the season. And I know a lot of people are going to get mad at me saying DJ Moore. But yet again, you never sell a stock when it's low. You sell a stock when it's high. DJ Moore is coming in at the very end, and she's skyrocketing up. And now it might be a good chance. And the reason why I bring up DJ Moore, and I'll show you all of y'all just this little display right over here. So for everyone that's out there on YouTube, you can see this display, which shows after, if someone gets traded pre-June 1st next season, how much money the Bears would save. Yet again, it doesn't erase all the dead cap, and there's a million different little escalators out there. And a lot of times too, it gets kicked out to the next year, the following season as well. So you have extra dead cap money there. But the reason why some of these trades can be good is you could potentially, like if you wanted to, you could trade a DJ Moore and save $16.5 million. You could trade Montez Sweat and save about almost $17 million. And the reason why I bring up those players is because, DJ Moore, it seems like we have a lot of good wide receivers. Now, I know everyone goes immediately to Cole Kmet, but Cole Kmet does serve a very, very specific role on this offense. Now, I'm not saying he's absolutely untouchable or anything like that, but also too, they have Brock frickin' Bowers. And I'm pretty sure if you're trading away your star pass rusher, you're not going to go, you know what we need? A number 2 tight end. Let's get that. They'd probably say, you know what we need? Maybe a veteran receiver that has multiple years on their deal, like a DJ Moore, that has been able to elevate a backup caliber quarterback such as Justin Fields. So there's different things like that that come out. Now, the other piece is I would love to just throw in Dayo Adengbo. Say, hey, because if you trade Dayo, you save $11 million. So I'd be like, hey, come on. If Dayo Adengbo is included, I would just be like, yes, just do the deal. I don't care what we're giving away. Let's save this. But this is the thing, is the reason why I want to bring this up is because if you're talking about doing a trade and you're doing something like this, the Bears do need to save cap space. And that's the reason why I threw in the DJ Moore, or even like if you talk about a Tremaine Edmonds, might be an even one. Now, yet again, 2 people that are really kind of grabbing the hearts of a lot of Chicago Bears fans right now, especially with the It's Chicago from Tremaine Edmonds. But it's those types of people that you need to, if you make a trade like that, you need to save money somewhere. Now, I'm pretty sure that they're not going to be like, yeah, give us Dayo Adengbo so that we can be put into minor cap hell with some of this. But I want to just bring that up for those that are interested too. I know Jalen has been a name that a lot of people have talked about. That does, to me, I don't love that. It would be $7 million that you're saving. I just think that he needs to get healthy. DeAndre Swift, for anyone that's curious, it would be $7.5 million if you traded him. Grady Jarrett would be 11. Yet again, I don't think that you'd be able to kind of pawn off some of those players onto other teams. But you'd have to open up some form of cap space in order for it to happen. So with that being said, last little piece too is I want to just throw this out there. What makes it slightly even more so potentially unrealistic? They would need an answer for that Montez Sweat and Max Crosby both play on the same side. Now, that's not an absolute, it's never going to happen because of that. But it's something that needs to be discussed and needs to be thought about because both of those players just play on that side. Now, it doesn't mean every single snap is on that side. They switch over to the other side. But like a Micah Parsons was a literal all over the field. Both of these players have exclusively played, I don't have the exact number, but it definitely was over like 80% of their snaps every single season are on that left-hand side. So one would have to be moved over to the right. So my guess is it would probably be your Montez Sweat so that you keep your prized pass rusher if you traded for him on that same side of the football or on that left side. So let's see what y'all are saying. So 64% of you say yes, you do a first and a second / DJ Moore, whichever one you'd want for Max Crosby. But let me see what the chats are saying. First off, bear down to all of y'all. I'm just seeing a whole bunch of people out there. T-Dub, we got J2K. We got lots and lots of people coming out there. And let me see. So yeah, and that's the big thing because I see like, can we afford him? I think the biggest thing is like, yeah, if that's why I threw DJ as it, just because you'd save the money and you'd probably trade a player just to open up the cap space because we'll actually be negative at the start of the season. And yeah, that to me, I don't mind trading a first round pick. The second one, I don't mind as well. But yeah, let me see other little pieces. Yeah, you can restructure too. That's a good point. Ryan Poles has never restructured a contract. I think this year he's going to because they're definitely in the negatives and stuff like that. But let's see. Yeah, I agree with Drax that, yeah, trading DJ at this time would be a very unpopular opinion for sure. It really would be, especially right now. And to like his wife, his family, they're engrossing themselves in Chicago. So, but yeah, I agree with Imperil. Yeah, Myles Garrett is better. But yeah, he did just sign this deal. He just did sign his deal. And Ron, bear down, my friend. We got Squeegee out there too. And yeah, that's the thing. And yeah, Squeegee's saying DJ Moore is so versatile that he puts so much pressure on opposing defenses. He would be the last receiver he would trade. So Squeegee, big DJ fan out there. Yeah, wanted to throw it out there. So like we said, I don't think it's as copy and paste as maybe some other people think out there with it because, yeah, you definitely have to open up some cap space. You'd have to restructure some different deals and other pieces like that. Yet again, it would be a $30 million hit as soon as you would trade him. So the Bears would somehow have to open up $30 million and then do it that way. So that's the big piece. So let's go into this. And Beryl says he'd give a kidney, a leg, and both his arms for Myles Garrett. There we go. That's a Bears fan right there, man. We got Rod, who's going to play in the slot. So let's talk about that with CJ, because now let's move on. So 69%, nice. We'll end the poll right there at 69%. So we'll end this poll. So 69% of y'all saying yes, trade for Max Crosby. But let's get into this. Let's actually start talking about what this show should have been in now that we're 15 minutes in. But let's talk about this 49ers versus the Chicago Bears. We're going all the way to Santa Clara to go against them. Now, last time we played them, we got absolutely smoked when we had to travel out to Santa Clara. So bad taste in my mouth when I think about this. But still, this is just to get started with this is a San Francisco 49ers offense that has not punted since November 30th. So their offense is going absolutely crazy. Their defense, though, we'll break this down, can be taken advantage of. And there's a lot of specific things that point to Bears should be able to get some points, but will it be enough against the 49ers? But first, let's talk a little bit about some injury reports. So this is the first time in maybe this entire season that we've had a full injury report when we're recording the show, which it's quite nice. Rome Odunze, out. Nick McLeod, out. Now, some people that are questionable, we have Josh Blackwell and Deshaun Wright battling an illness, and both of them were DNP on Friday. Seems like there's an illness, like 'tis the season for illnesses. Blackwell, hopefully he can be back there. Same thing with Deshaun Wright, but without Nick McLeod. Now, McLeod's not phenomenal or anything like that, but he has been a backup. And even with Josh Blackwell has usually been the backup in the slot position. So now we're looking at CJ Gardner-Johnson, who is limited all week with the knee, but a full participant on Friday. So to me, I think CJ's going. Luke Newman, total name that a lot of us forgot about. Luke Newman can be designated back from injured reserve, but he was a full participant on Friday. I think you kind of wait a little bit, especially with him being a rookie. But TJ Edwards, DNPs with a glute injury on Wednesday and Thursday, limited on Friday, and questionable. So the big ones to look out for, Blackwell and Wright, obviously it's just an illness thing. Hopefully they're able to come back. But it's kind of crazy that Nick McLeod with an illness was out Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and designated out overall. But then too, you got CJ Gardner-Johnson, TJ Edwards, and Luke Newman. My guess, CJ Gardner-Johnson, I expect him to play. Luke Newman, I expect him to still sit on that IR spot. And TJ Edwards, my guess, I'm not super concerned with some of this because of the one and only DeMarco Jackson, who was out with an illness, but a full participant on Friday. So to me, having DeMarco at least helps out a lot because he has filled in incredibly well with all this. So the next piece as well is if we flip over to the San Francisco 49ers, injury impact for this, pretty simple. The only person you really got to look out for is George Kittle this week because with this, Renardo Green, cornerback, he's out. But really, George Kittle, DNP, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. George Kittle is one of the best tight ends in the league. If not, he's still super underrated just because he's usually banged up, but he's someone that can block his butt off. He can catch great. And he can break tackles. Now, if he's not out there, this changes the game because they have these kind of game wreckers out there. And Kittle is definitely one because, yet again, he can catch, but I think that one of his biggest contributions is in the run game. Him being a lead blocker, him being able to create space for that running back, and just him being that caliber of a tight end. That is what makes him so great. And he can do everything. So him being a DNP all week and being questionable, we'll have to see. But if I'm the 49ers, I'm not playing Kittle. Now, I might be biased because I'm a Bears fan, But the reason why I'm not playing Kittle is, what do you get if you win this game? I think we're all kind of in this boat where we're all in the playoffs, and it does seem like the 49ers are either going to be the 6 seed or the 7 seed. You're going against the Bears or you're going against the Eagles. Now, the Eagles don't look like the Eagles of last year. They don't look like this absolute game wrecker. So maybe you do want to go against the Eagles. But to me, if I'm the 49ers, I'd rather have George Kittle. So to me, I think it's a smart decision for them to bench your tight end who has not played, your all-pro tight end who hasn't played all week. Get him ready for the playoffs. So I'd love that too, because then obviously makes the Bears have a even better chance of winning this game. So that is kind of all that you really need to know from their injury report. But now let's see what y'all are saying out there. I thought I saw something. We have some weather. Yeah, so we'll know more. Okay, so it's rain and flooding. Now I'm going to have to check that out. Let me see. Santa Clara weather report. Let me see. This is saying sunshine or aerial flood watch. Yeah, aerial from December 26. Huh. We'll have to see that. Right now, Santa Clara, California, they're claiming. Interesting. Yeah, so they're saying flood watch, but at the same time, I don't see any rain in the forecast. No rain in the forecast for Sunday. So it looks like it's the shower now, but yeah, we'll know more tomorrow from that side of things. But yeah, Sunday doesn't look like it's going to be raining. Otherwise, we'll have the monsoon bowl again, and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm hoping it rains because I agree with Squeegee. Like, having the rain brings in an extra little factor with Purdy and other stuff like that. So to me, we'll see. But yeah, like Kittle, Edwards, like you're saying, Drax. Yeah, my feeling is I'd put Kittle and Edwards or something like that. Try to bench some of those just because of the playoffs kind of coming up. Put in DeMarco Jackson. That man wants to play. So now let's talk a little bit more about, like, we've kind of talked a little bit about this opponent where we're saying this is a very, very good opponent that we're going to be playing. But if we're talking specifically about this Bears offense and how this Bears offense is going to match up against them, let's get into, I think, some of y'all's favorite little graphics out there where we have all the different EPAs and everything like that out here when we're talking about this Bears offense versus this 49ers defense. So if we're looking overall at the entire season, this 49ers defense that we're going to be going against, for Football Reference expected points, we're talking about 21st overall defense, 21st against the pass, 21st against the run. From an EPA perspective, they're 23rd against the pass, 21st against the run. But the other thing that if you just dive a little bit deeper into this, let me grab some of these numbers. Did I accidentally delete this? No, I did not. Bears have been first in EPA on outside rushes, and the 49ers are 31st in success rate allowed on outside rushes since week 8. And the other piece too with this, because even though that we look at this and they're number 8 in rush yards per game, averaging 4.3 yards per carry, right? It's all about what are you doing right now and how does this defense look? And yet again, if you look at this, 31st in success rate allowed to outside rushes. If the Bears are looking to absolutely dominate them, which they should, the outside rush is going to be open for the Bears against the 49ers. Keep hitting it with that. And also, too, 49ers defense ranks 30th in success rate allowed since week 8. Yet again, they've had some injuries. They don't have Fred Warner, who transforms this entire defense. They don't have Nick Bosa. They don't have a lot of those horses that they've typically had on defense. So because of the injuries, now this defense just has not been good. This defense has, like we were saying, one of the bottom defenses in the NFL since all their different injuries that they've had. So if you're talking about what's going on with this Bears team, outside rushes, that's what we need to do. We're 10th in the highest percentage of outside runs, and we're 3rd in outside run EPA. But yet again, 1st since week 8. So the Bears have been dominant on those outside rushes since week 8, basically since the bye week. This is one of the most efficient running games out there. So if you're looking at a key, outside rushes with Swift has been notoriously a lot better. Yet again, this is another game. Like I said, I'm a Nunn guy. I like him more for the Packer games, which he performed better. And then with this should be a Swift game. I would be handing it off to Swift. I would not even pass it the first drive. I would just sincerely be like, this is how the game's going, Niners. And since they just consistently have been scoring points, I just beat the crap out of this defense. I would just be smacking them and just doing that over and over and over again, because that's the way that you should be able to win. Also, too, this San Francisco defense runs the number one highest percentage of light boxes in the NFL. Do you know who's number one in the NFL against the light boxes? The Chicago Bears. So, yet again, another little point, obviously, and some of you might be saying, well, they should just load the box. Well, here's the thing about what Robert Saleh has been doing. This defense has been their second worst in pressure rate, but also, too, their second lowest in blitz rate. So Robert Saleh is seeing hey, we can't get pressure with the people that we have out there, and we're not going to do anything about it. We're not going to send a blitz. We're not he's being very, very Matt Eberflus with this defense. Even Matt Eberflus last year started blitzing for the first time in forever. And that's the thing that's kind of crazy, is that Robert Saleh is not sending a blitz. He's not adjusting his defense. And so if he continues to not adjust his defense, just keep pounding him in the face. Simple as that, because he hasn't adjusted the light boxes. He hasn't put more people in the box. Or he hasn't adjusted by putting more people in the box. He just simply hasn't. So to me, Bears have to look at that. Now, we've been talking a lot about the running game, and obviously so, because that should be one of the big weaknesses. The other weakness that I want to pinpoint as well is that if you're looking to attack this defense, is that now a lot of people have been able to actually attack the intermediate spot of the field. Bears actually have the worst EPA when targeting the intermediate spot of the field, and also Caleb 30th in catchable throw rate on those intermediate passes. So Caleb, yet again, very good on short passes, very good on the deep ball, but that intermediate range just has been something that he hasn't been great at. But even though with that, we're still 11th in middle of the field EPA, while the Niners 25th in middle of the field. So yet again, we throw it in the middle of the field at the 10th highest rate out of anyone in the NFL. Another little point that the Bears should be able to be pretty darn good when we're talking about just how we kind of match up with this Niners team. We should be able to run the ball, and we should be able to pass the ball, and we're the highest rate of throwing deep balls, and they're 26 when it comes down to deep ball EPA. So I think that's all. That's enough numbers for right now. Let's actually start talking about some people, shall we? So yet again, we're talking about this wide receiving core, this Bears team. You expect the full health of the offensive line. There's going to be no Rome Odunze, but I think no problem. It's still Olamide Zaccheaus, even though Jade really stepped up. Olamide Zaccheaus is still that good backup that they have out there. Now, with this, I think that they're going to run a lot more, two tight end sets, because why the heck not? I just gave you all those stats that just showcased how good they can be with those outside runs. So do it. So keep Kmet out there, keep Loveland out there. Yet again, we were just talking about it with the potential Max Crosby deal. The reason why I really like Cole Kmet is because he has been blocking a lot better this year. Now, Loveland has been great. Loveland's been really, really good. I'm really liking him. He's PFF's 8th highest graded tight end, and well-deserved at that spot too. But to me, run a lot of 2 tight end sets, and to me, just smash mouth football all day. Now, if you're looking at what else you can do, I love the continuation of this whole DJ Moore connection that they're building out there. And then obviously with Luther Burden, just another opportunity for him to just prove that, listen, I'm a number 1 wide receiver. I'm just around Rome Odunze and DJ Moore and Colson Loveland as another receiver too. So to me, I like it. And also I agree with J2K out there. So for those that are listening, every week, I just grab a snapshot of, PFF has a depth chart. So I like it because it also just shows the PFF grades, but also usually shows who's projected to kind of be the starters. And man, it makes me smile every single time that I load this up. So for those that are listening at home, listening at work, just so you know, so DJ Moore is 67.9, which is 55th best, yet again getting a lot better. Luther Burden, 67th out of 132 at a 75.9. Cole Kmet, 32nd ranked tight end out of 76 with a 66 grade. Colson Loveland, 77.8 with 8th highest. Then Darnell Wright, 15th highest graded tackle. Jackson, 12th highest graded guard. Dahlman, 7th highest graded center. Tooney, 6th highest graded guard. And also Ozzie Trapillo, 38th highest graded tackle. Williams, 17th highest graded quarterback. And Swift, 12th highest graded running back. So man, so good. So good just seeing all that green. And now let's flip over to this 49ers defense where, yeah, we're getting a lot of orange. We're getting a lot of yellows out there. Not as good. But the reason why I want to bring this up is when we flip over to this other side, like we said, injuries have really strucken down this 49ers defense. I don't know what it is with their stadium, what they're doing. It just seems every year they're just riddled with injuries, and it's unfortunate because also as a Bears fan, we love the 49ers because they always beat the Packers. So if there's a 49ers fan out there, thank you for always beating the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. But with this, Bryce Huff is someone that is a good pass rusher. Now he's the 32nd highest graded defensive end according to PFF, and also if I'm just specifically looking at pass rush grade, 18th. 74th when it comes down to run defense. But the reason why I bring up these grades is because it does summarize very well who Bryce Huff is. He's someone that is a pass rush specialist, and that's what he does. Yet again, this is the reason why when you're looking at how to attack this defense, you can attack them with the run. I'm not even going to try their other defensive end's name. Sam, actually, I'll try it. Sam Akuyana. That was awful. That was awful. but anyways, they have Keon White, the former second-round draft pick out of the 49ers. Literally never tried that guy's name before. But then also Jordan Elliott, their defensive tackle in the middle. Yet again, not a lot of great people that are out there on this defensive line when you have people that I cannot pronounce their name. Or actually, some of these haven't even heard of them. That's just how this defense has been because they've been banged up. Then you're talking about the cornerbacks that they have too, and it just hasn't been good. Lenore has been just okay at the cornerback position. Upton Stout, their third-round rookie, he's been not great when it comes down to coverage. And then Darrell Luter, he had to start last week and just, yet again, not great from a coverage perspective. But the safeties, Jair Brown and also Malik Mustafa, both are just solid safeties. They're nothing crazy. They're nothing incredible, but they're good safeties in this league. And then backups as the linebacker position. So you have Tatum Bethune, and then also you have D Winters. So this entire defense, not a lot of names and not a lot to worry about. Yet again, you should be able to feast on this, and that's going to be the big key. They're going to have to dominate. They're going to have to play well. The Bears are going to have to put up points. This is one of those games like in the Bengals game. This is a game that you're going to have to outscore them. You're not going to be able to punt because they're not going to punt. You have to run up the score and you have to take these guys out. So let's get into this a little bit more. Let's talk about, let me flip over offensive matchup to watch out for. So let me know. And also Drax asking, run more, throw more. If I'm the Bears, I would love to just dictate the flow of the game. I would run it consistently. I'd be running those outside zone runs and just being like, stop us. Just try and stop us. Give them a reason. And to me, I wish that they would have done what they did at the first drive against the Packers. I loved it. How you literally had DeAndre Swift out there, you ran it with him. Next play, you have Manun guy out there, you run it with him. And you're like, we're just going to keep smacking you in the face with our running backs. That's what I would do. And the reason why I love that too is now you're showing that, okay, we have Swift out there. Let him run until he gets tired. Throw out, Manungai. Let him run until he gets tired and just keep just battling them so that they feel exhausted and they feel tired. So that's my feeling. But let's see. Sam saying Tremaine Edmonds would be my choice to clear cap space. That's a good choice. That's the other thing too. And maybe DeMarco Jackson, restricted free agent, we could be able to just sign him right there. But yeah, so the matchup to watch out for, going back to matchups versus X factors and other things like that, the matchup I'm watching out for, let me see. I think the only thing that I'm going to be really watching out for is because this defense is so down and there's really not a lot of people. I'm going to go for this. This is a layup in my mind. It's going to be Bryce Huff versus Ozzy Trapillo. That's going to be the matchup I'm watching out for just because Bryce Huff is a good, yet again, a good pass rusher. He's solid. Now, obviously, this team has not been good at getting sacks. They're even worse than the Bears when you're talking about defensive lines. So for me, I'm looking at that because Ozzy Trapillo, I think this is a very, very good test, kind of continuation of just like you're not going against an elite pass rusher. You can go against this guy who's a good pass rusher as a good indication of, all right, do you need an extra chip or how do you play? So that's my feeling. But then the next piece too, if I'm like, I always like to talk about X factors. My X factor is Swift. I just think that Swift can have an absolute field day. And that's why he's going to be actually, I'm going to go with Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright could absolutely, like, after not getting a nod for the Pro Bowl, which is criminal, him and Deshaun Wright not getting Pro Bowls, that's just frustrating. I didn't see what other tackles got in. Maybe there's some other, like, elite ones that are out there that were just layups to kind of throw in. But to me, Darnell Wright, I'm going to put as the X factor because he can just absolutely take over the game when you're talking about an outside zone running system. He can just absolutely plow them out anytime that you're running to the outside side. So that's my feeling. But let's kind of go over to this defensive side of the ball where, yet again, we have another little display. Let me kind of flip this over to this side. Here we go. So let's talk about this Bears defense. Because, actually, do we even need to talk about this Bears defense? Because I think it's going to be more so about this offense. Because Brock Purdy's been insane since coming back. Now, he has the second highest time to throw, right behind Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is number 1. So Purdy has been holding onto the ball a decently long amount of time. But when you're looking at this, Brock Purdy, first in EPA per play since being back. Obviously, pretty good. So first in EPA per play, and also has the lowest sack rate at a whopping 7%. And just for reference, I think Caleb is at like 11 or 12%. I believe it is. I should have actually wrote that down in my notes with some of this. But those are just some of the big pieces that we just need to talk about is this Brock Purdy. This Brock Purdy's been just great across the board with everything that you're looking at. When you're looking at just, yet again, we talk about EPA. I also have like all the PFF stats. So when I look at like PFF stats or like the ratings and everything, 5th in intermediate, 3rd in short, 3rd when pressured, 8th when clean, right? This is where he's someone where across the board, he's just someone that can do it all. The only thing he can't do is deep ball, where he's 34th in PFF grade when throwing a deep ball out of 43 qualifying quarterbacks. But also, too, when you're talking about just their EPA when they're throwing a deep ball, 26. So that's the one thing that, like, you could say they're not good at doing. They're 2nd in EPA when it comes down to short, 7th in intermediate. So yet again, they're trying to get a lot of short stuff, a lot of easy stuff. And this has been just a absolutely great passing attack for Brock Purdy. So the best way that you can beat Brock Purdy is every now and again, he throws the ball and puts it into harm's way. So that is the way that you can beat him, is just take advantage of that, which you know that this Bears defense can do. So if I'm looking at the game script of how the Bears can beat them, right? There's no magic bullet, but it's run the football outside, right? Run the football outside. Get it out in space. You have the blockers to be able to do that. And then just take advantage of the turnover when it comes up. So that's going to be the big piece to look out for out there. And also, I just absolutely forgot to change this other little piece. But also, I see a big green box that just came up in my chat. Oracle, my man, just became a show supporter. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that so much. So thank you, good sir. Yeah, and, yeah. Now you have the emotes as well out there too. And I was actually thinking about this because I need to do this come draft season, because I'm like, I do need to officially get and figure out some all 22 stuff. So that's to come. I have off this week, so I'll have to think about that to see what else we can kind of do to sweeten the show supporter stuff. And there we go. We got the bear claw emote. There we go. Thank you so much, my friend. But let's talk more about this this attack and what the Bears can do against this. So if you're looking at this running attack, this team is known for just being able to run the football very well. But they haven't been as good as they normally have. When you're looking at just rushing yards over expected, both of their running backs have not been great. McCaffrey actually has a negative EPA and rushing yards over expected going to the outside, which just doesn't seem like McCaffrey, but that's just the way it's been. This running game has been non-existent. Brian Robinson, across the board, when you're looking at just stats, has been middle of the road. He's been as expected. So like all his stats are basically at 0 or like hardly negligible over or under on it. So he's just been a standard running back. But then McCaffrey, neutral inside. And that's where when you're looking at the running game, they're 28th in EPA per play on outside zone rushes, 12th in EPA on inside zone rushes. But still, and a lot of that is Brian Robinson. Like I said, McCaffrey's been slightly better on inside runs, which is just kind of weird. Because when you look at just their team, it looks like they're blocking pretty well when it comes down to the run block. But yeah, and I agree with Oracle, what he just said. The Christian McCaffrey, the running routes is that true danger. I agreed. It's when he's running those routes, that's how he gets you, is the short passes, getting it out in space. Because the running game just has not been there. So yet again, when you look at their short EPA, the reason why that's number 2, Christian McCaffrey. Now they don't have the Brandon Ayuk. They don't have Brendan Ayuk or let me flip over to the other side. Or Deebo Samuel anymore, but still Juwan Jennings, solid receiver. And obviously George Kittle, if he is going to be out there. Kendrick Bourne, he's been okay since kind of coming over for the 49ers. Hasn't looked kind of like in his zone, but it's just, and I want to just give hats off to Brock Purdy. Purdy's been really good. 6th highest graded rating from quarterbacks according to PFF, but just not even the PFF grade. He's just been good, man. He's been good across the board with everything. And then also, if you're looking at the offensive linemen, Trent Williams is still a man, 3rd highest graded offensive tackle. Yet again, a lot of this is because of the run blocking. Now, when you look at their offensive line, a lot of people are going to say like, wow, like PFF loves them, the way that they run block. But if you peel it back, Spencer Burford, their left guard, he's at fault at the 2nd highest rate according among left guards. So if you're looking at a spot to attack, yet again, another spot where Javon Dexter, we would love to see. I mean, he's usually lined up against the right guard, but maybe it's a Grady Jarrett game. Burford has been awful. A 42.8 pass block grade according to PFF. But like I said before, he is at fault for majority of the pressures that just come up the middle. And if you can pressure Brock Purdy to the outside, he's first in EPA when throwing inside the pocket. But if you can get him outside the pocket, that drops down to 14th. Yet again, not a huge drop or anything like that, but still a decent when you're talking about literally number 1 when he's in the pocket, but then drops down to just a mid quarterback when he gets pushed outside the quarterback. So that's my feeling, is that you need to do that. And yeah, I agree with in peril. San Francisco's offensive line, it seems like every single year it's the run blocking. I don't know what it is. PFF just like loves their run blocking, just nonstop. They're like the best run blocking unit from a PFF perspective. But then when you look at it down, like when I actually click on it and I'll like look on this. So Jake Brendel, 14th highest graded center overall, but 30th highest graded pass blocking center. And then you have Dominique Pooney, the 27th highest graded guard, 44th when it comes down to pass blocking. So what I'm getting at is like Colton McKivitz, right? The 8th highest graded tackle, but 34th against the pass. What I'm saying is that this line looks amazing from the PFF side because PFF loves their run blocking, which yet again, if you look at other analytics, this is why PFF is not king. When it comes down to this, you take it with a grain of salt. The more that I look at like even like ESPN's run blocking, they have this as a mid run blocking unit, and you see everything else that they're doing. My take on it is this is one of those, don't look at the PFF stuff when it comes down to the run blocking. This, they haven't been able to get things going. They just simply haven't. But also too, you can get there with the front four that you have. So yes, you can throw some exotic blitzes and try to throw them off that way. Try to get Purdy uncomfortable. Right? Go back. Like there's no specific way to really beat this passing attack besides just trying to force turnovers and try to get him off. Because he's really, really good against the blitz. He's good when he's kept clean. It's not like Love where it's like when Love is pressured with the front four, it's crazily different than when he's being pressured or anything like that. So, yeah, and Oracle's saying they know how to shred zone coverage. Yeah, so man to man, you just have to beat your guy, right? So we'll kind of switch things up on them there. So let's see what else is out there. And the other piece is, so like we said, this offensive line, you should be able to kind of go apart when you're talking about kind of pass rush. And I think that they should just get back to what they were doing before, blitzing CJ Gardner-Johnson, throwing some of those exotic blitzes, trying to just confuse and just cause some confusion. Nashawn Wright should be out there. Obviously, with the illness, we just don't know. But I do think if he's out, I would flip Jalen Johnson back to that side because that's the side that he's always played throughout his career. And I want to kind of call that out because, first off, he doesn't look fully healthy. And secondly, he's not playing on the typical side that he's always played on, in the NFL. So that's something that I just kind of want to call out from the defensive side overall. So let's get into this and let's just talk a little bit about matchups that I'm looking out for. Because if I'm talking about a defensive matchup that I'm looking out for, I'm going to say it. I'm going to go Grady Jarrett versus their left guard, Burford. Like I said, he's been a liability when it comes down to pass blocking. He's the one that allows the most pass rushing, the most pressures right up the middle. So to me, I'm going after him. I'm just going to be like, that's going to be my matchup because yet again, we're paying you all this money. You should be able to at least get some pressure up the middle because he just simply has not been great. And I'm looking at his efficiency metric, 95%, which is awful when you're talking about a guard. So lets up pressures on about 5% of snaps. So to me, that is going to be the matchup that I am looking out for. If I'm throwing in an X factor, I'll just throw in I'm going to throw in Nashawn Wright. Or actually, I'm going to go with Tremaine Edmonds. Tremaine Edmonds is going to be my X factor, mainly because when you look at the numbers, this is a team that likes to attack the middle of the field, third highest rate of attacking the middle of the field. So to me, your linebackers are going to be a big piece. And to me, Tremaine Edmonds being huge, being tall, and being snubbed from the Pro Bowl, he was banged up, so at least he has that excuse. But that to me is the X factor, I would say, across the middle. So now let's talk a little bit about this special teams, where we're going to go against an old friend, Eddie Pinheiro, Eddie Money, as I would always call him, Eddie Dinero, because he was good. He was good for the Bears. We let him walk, and he's been good for the 49ers. And he's honestly just been good everywhere he's kind of gone. but he's just been kind of like a journeyman since then. The only other thing that I want to say too is just the special teams. Yet again, this is another week I'll say this. The special teams has really stepped up over these past handful of weeks. This was a unit that I thought really we all thought struggled. They were awful at really defending kick returns, defending punt returns, but they've really stepped up. Obviously, and getting the onside kick is one thing, but the coverage that you consistently do, that is something that has been great. So to me, I like it. I really like what we've been doing. So just keep it up. But the only other thing now, we have to just talk about who has the edge, and we'll kind of go through then our game predictions. So if we're talking about the edges in this game, first off, if we're talking about this Bears offense versus this defense for the 49ers, I think we have an edge on both running, obviously, and also the passing attack. This is a bad defense. We got to be able to put up some points. Now, I just think that don't try to get too cute. This is something that you just need to dominate and just really go out there. You don't need trick plays. You don't need things like that. Old-fashioned football is just run through an MFer's face, as they say, right? That is the game plan for today. I want to see more runs, like more runs than passes. But then if we go into the defensive side of the football, I actually think we have the edge at stopping the run, just because the Bears usually, we've been pretty good at actually stopping the primary back. We did that with Josh Jacobs. We didn't with their backups. And you kind of consistently see this with other running backs that we've gone through over the past, since the bye week. We've been good at stopping the main one. The backups then get a little bit more yards. So maybe it's a Brian Robinson game. But I think that I feel good about us stopping the run. And then when we get into the passing game, I give them the edge from that passing department. Brock Purdy's been a beast. He's been great. He's not just if he's a system quarterback, he's a great freaking system quarterback because he plays the system to a T. Now, let's get into some game predictions. So let me know your game predictions down below in the chat. Are the Bears winning? And also give me the game prediction and a bold prediction out there as well. So, what are we thinking? Because I'll tell you what my thought is. Like I've said before, I think that this has got to be something that you're running the football. You're doing that. You need to be scoring. It needs to be high scoring. I actually need to check what the over is on this game because I might put a little dinero on that. Let me just see kind of where that line is at. Now, also, too, actually, speaking of betting, I listen to betting shows. I always like listening to betting shows just because I think that they give a different angle on games. Not like, this is Joey Money out here. Let me tell you what I'm going to, actual professional sports bettors. I like listening to them. And when they talk about a game like this, I've heard both sides where some people really like the Bears and some really don't like the Bears with this because the Bears have been fluky, but they keep on churning out wins and they keep on doing things like this. So we're a tough team to kind of talk about. So I've heard both sides of kind of this line in here. I'm trying to find the other game previews with this for the over-unders. Let's see. The over-under is set at, okay. 52.5. Okay, I'm not putting any action on that. That's a little, I would still lean over, but that's a little rich for my blood. If anything, I'd put anything. I don't know what the Bears over total is. I want to say last time I checked is 24, 25. That's my feeling. But if I'm looking at this, I think it's going to be a high scoring affair. I think that the Bears are going to get a couple turnovers. And you know what? I was literally before going in, I'm like, I'm going to pick the Bears. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, they want to pick the Bears to lose. I'm like, no, we're having too much fun this season. It's a fun season. And also I just want to see us win. Honestly, obviously I want to see us win, but if we win this game too, it's going to be because of this offense. It's not going to be because of this defense. It's going to be because of this offense. I know my thumbnail is defense will be tested because they will. I think that they're going to have to turn the ball over at least 2 times in order to keep it consistent and keep it close. But I think that this Bears offense has to stop them, has to run up the score. And I'm going to go Bears 31. Bears 31 and the Niners, I'm going to say 27. Or 28. I'm going to give them 28. Or no, 27. 27. Final answer, 27-31 Bears. But let's see what y'all are saying. We got Joe saying Bears 28, Niners 24. Bold prediction, Manungai over 150. Man, I would love that. And then let's see, Squeegee saying Bears 31, 49ers 17. And saying CJ Gardner-Johnson getting a pick 6. I like it. And then also Drax's bold prediction, Caleb gets 5 TDs. I'd love that. And here's the thing. I could see Ben just like, whenever it's like, dude, just run the ball. He loves to pass. It's what offensive minds like to do. They're like, you know what? We're going to pass the ball because that's how we're going to run up the score. O'Connell does it. Like all the big minds of that. They always like to pass the ball more because that's kind of usually how they got the game or their job in the first place. So I'm going to say Bears win. Bold prediction. It's one of those where I would have the Bears run for like over 250 yards, right? That's what I would do is I would literally have it 250 yards. Bears just run the ball. And the other thing too, that as I'm looking at this, another reason why I probably wouldn't bet like the over or do stuff like that is because if I am the Bears, I am running the football. I'm not passing the ball. I'm chewing up the clock. I'm dominating the time of possession. I'm doing it that, right? I'm making it feel like we own what's going on that way. So bold prediction. Man, like I said, I don't think that we're going to like get crazy numbers of sacks. I think we're going to need at least 2 turnovers. Bold prediction. I'm going to say, part of me wants to say, I'm going to say Colson Loveland over 100 yards. Or over 70 yards. I'll say that. I think over 70. I'll say Colson Loveland. Getting him involved and getting him going. Like I said, I think realistically, I would run it for over 250 yards. I would try to just keep that ground game, but I can see Ben Johnson wanting to just throw it and wanting to do stuff like that. So I'm going to give it to Loveland. I'm going to say Loveland as a game. It's going to be a Loveland game, but that's my feeling. But man, it feels good. 11-4. Another reason why we need to get this game is because first season we saw Matt Nagy go 12-4. So we better be 12-4. He went 12-4 with the number 1 defense, right? I'd love to see this team go 12-4 with without the number 1 defense because it just shows that the arrow really can only go up from here, right? That's what it means. That's what it means. So with that, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe out there on YouTube, hit the notification bell. We'll be live after the game at 7. Actually, never mind. It's a night game. So we will be live after the game. Don't you worry about that to break down the Bears versus the 49ers. Bear Down and Unbearable Sports Podcast. We are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and you